Thank you very much. Hello everyone, this is Rick with XYZ Modeling and Graphics. And welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be looking at month number 15, issue number 57. And this video is going to cover issue 57 exclusively due to the amount of time it took me to complete it. As usual, we're going to go ahead and jump straight to the build. And we begin by opening up our packaging and verifying all the parts and pieces are present and accounted for. Nothing's missing or damaged. And this month, or this issue, we will be continuing with the upper port engine. So nothing really new going on here. Very similar to the other engines that we put together, but it does allow me to respond to some of the comments that some of you have posted in the comments section of these videos. So, you know, we'll continue that tradition at least until someone tells me to stop. But before we get to that, I do want to point out again that these little plastic containers that are housing these engine detail parts are prone to grab hold of some of those little pieces via static electricity. And be very careful. I almost lost one for that reason just recently, so just, you know, be careful. Now, just as an experiment here, I made a deal with myself that I would not use any CA glue. I know it's shocking, but I am conducting an experiment here, and I'm going to keep an eye on this over time, but I'm going to go ahead and just put all these pieces into place without it and see if I have any difficulty with this process or have any suspicious pieces that I think that may fall out, you know, that aren't seating firmly enough for whatever reason. So we'll see how that goes. So as far as comments this month, I've got a few more from a couple folks, and one of the more interesting, well, they're all, I appreciate them all. The one that I found the most intriguing was from Martin Futter, and he gave me a link to a website called falcon3dparts.com, and I checked it out like he wanted me to, and I do see that there are some 3D printed parts here to allow you to be able to see into the laser cannon base and the engines, which is pretty cool. I know I've criticized the Agostini for creating these types of pieces that would, you know, that would not allow any kind of visibility once the external pieces were put into place. So these sort of solve that problem. Now, you can see by the pricing here that you've got a decision to make. Are these detail pieces worth that expense? Now, I personally don't believe that they are. You know, $75, I don't know what that equates to in pounds or rupees or whatever the heck you guys use for currency. But you know, in US dollars, to me, this just seems a little bit extreme for what you're getting. So I do appreciate the link there, Martin, and you know, for those of you who do care about seeing those details and being able to see them or show them off, then, you know, this is certainly an option for you if you're willing to pay the price. I will certainly be checking in with Falcon 3D Parts occasionally to see if there are any other modifications that they do that will become available. Specifically, the cockpit. I would like to see something created there to bring that cockpit to life a little bit better than what I'm seeing in the photographs of this model so far. And I most certainly Shapeways will also have something as this model progresses. We're probably limited to just what we're seeing with the cannon base and engine, only because that's what everyone else has received so far, with the exception of one gentleman that's in Germany. I don't know how he's so far ahead, unless he possibly works for D'Agostini. I don't know. But I don't know of anybody else that is that far ahead. Chris Falcon, who's also putting a video on a build video, is several months behind me, it looks like. So, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye open. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. Do you work for Falcon 3D Parts? Maybe you can answer that question. Or you just wanted to point that out to me because I've made such an issue about not being able to see those interior pieces, those interior details of the engine. So I'm still working on the engine detail pieces here. So far, no CA glue. Everything's fitting into place really well. And I don't recall having any challenges with the exterior detail pieces in earlier issues, but I have certainly noticed a significant difference, positive difference in the fit of a lot of these push fit pieces, friction fit. Everything seems to be a little bit more exact than they were in earlier issues, where I was forced to shave a little off here, file a little off there to get things to fit properly. Not in all cases, but in some. But so far everything's going on very smoothly. I don't feel like they're in so loose that they will fall out, but time will tell. I just have to kind of keep track of it. Now, when I eventually get to painting this engine, through that process alone, that will help keep those pieces in place as well. As you can imagine, once you start layering paint on it, it's going to assist in bonding those pieces together and make it a little less likely to fall out or fall apart over time. Now, continuing on with our comments for these last couple weeks, Jiraiya Plays says he's also from the UK. He's up to issue 21, and but it's nice to see what's to come. Thank you, I appreciate that. And he does bring up the German gentleman that I spoke of earlier, Thomas Kraus, and he's up into the late 70s. It's amazing to me. I would love to know how he is so far ahead, but that's great. That's great. I haven't been. I caught a couple of his videos, but I haven't really paid too much attention to it, mainly because at this point, kind of like to be surprised a little bit, of what's coming. Obviously, we're not completing the wing in this month. For month 15, we're still not through it. I haven't received month 16 yet, but I think we'll definitely be finishing up the wing by the end of month 16. So once I'm into month 16 and have these wings completely finished, I will be putting out the painting videos and start getting to work on the Corsair design that I decided I'm going to be dealing with. And another thing, well, my dry rub transfer decal system came in, and I'm all prepped to do that. So some of the graphics I showed in last month's video, I came up with some of the designs based on the photographs that I've seen of this model that will ultimately be the markings for the ship. So I'm going to start getting those put together. And if any of you are interested in that, I will have that video put together and the process of how I make those decals. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know. So that'll be a lot of fun, I think. So we've completed the exterior details now, and I'm getting the lens put on and the exhaust detail portion of this engine. And this is all familiar territory. As most of you are aware, I'm sure I've got a few viewers out there that are watching this for the first time, but the rest of us, especially my subscribers, we've been down this road before, and there are no surprises at all. Everything's coming together very nice so far. My next comment to talk about is from P40F20, P40F20. I don't know how you prefer to have that pronounced. But he says that the next 4 issues will not see this wing completed. Hopefully next month. I am so tired of building wings. I am 100% with you on that. This has been, very tedious process these last couple months. Just one wing after another. But the consolation is that this is the final wing, and they have no choice but to give us the fuselage pieces and whatever else, cockpit pieces that we are all highly anticipating. I know I am anyway. So as you can see here, I'm pushing the LED light into position. And you want to be careful. This is not the highest quality wiring in the world, so there is a little bit of heat shrink around the connection point to the LED itself and the wiring. That gives a little bit of strain relief there, but you still want to be careful during that process not to apply too much pressure. That will eventually break the wires from the conductor contact points. So just be careful. And here we are threading the wiring through the fusion chamber, which is not too terribly difficult. But you do want to be careful as you do this, because the impeller portion is in there, and it's easy to break that piece if you're not careful with the wiring as you're threading it through. Now, the next couple comments I have here, again, another one from Martin. And he's complimenting me on the pros and cons of the CA glue debate that seems to be ongoing with some folks. It's your model. Yeah, of course, you can do what you want. And there's no wrong way to do it. Well, I guess there are plenty of wrong ways to do it. You can throw it up against the wall. That's definitely the wrong way to do it. But in all seriousness, yeah, it's it's, you know, it's your preference, and if the compression fit is tight enough and you feel like, okay, this is pretty secure, then, you know, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Also have the last comment I'd like to discuss is from Larry Goodnight, and he confirms for me he does live in Maui. Hey, we could have actually run into each other last time I was there. But he explains to me that he has that extra R2 because they messed up on the shipping and they sent him some extras of the first few packs, which is great, man. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. It's going to be cool to have an extra R2 that you can paint a different color. Be interesting to see how you decide to illuminate that guy. You can actually use that little tester that they give us. You can integrate that into your model. I'm sure that they're not going to be using those parts as the connection points in the actual X-Wing model, so you could probably take those lighting test pieces and use that. I would imagine as your connection point to your spare R2 and whatever diorama that you're going to set up. Can't wait to see it, man. And he also says that, hey, when we're in Maui again, that he'd buy us dinner, and I appreciate that. I like sushi, just so you know. Sushi's good. We found a nice little sushi restaurant in Paia that we liked. So anyway, I appreciate that, Larry. And mahalo to you, my friend. All right, at this point, we are just assembling the remainder of this engine, pushing that little reflector into place. Everything is fitting together quite nicely. So we're going to add the lens and the exhaust portion of this. Once I get going here, yep, here we go. We're going to be taking the second half of the engine and fitting that into place. Now, once this is all put together, it does have a tendency to want to spring outwards, or it doesn't necessarily want to. It doesn't feel like it's fitting together very well until you add the engine exhaust portion here and the outer ring that secures the rear portion of the engine, or the intake portion of the engine, I should say. And that's the ring that I'm installing at this moment. Once that's in place, it looks pretty good. But it just doesn't seem like it will be until you've put those two. Like the fit isn't very good until you get those two pieces together. I don't know. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying here. And we do our little light test, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to freeze it here just for a moment. I really do like that. And I mentioned in earlier issues that the LED looks great, but it would be nice if they had one of those flickering LEDs and that might be something that could be modified as well, but in this case it isn't. And here we are with the finished piece. So thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you in about a week. Take care.